Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're taking a closer look at Vex King's Healing is the New High. And we're really trying to do more than just summarize it, right? We've looked into this structured guide, trying to pull out the practical bits, the things you can actually do. Okay, so let's try and unpack that. Our goal here is to kind of map out the book's core steps, all 8 of them. Find that sweet spot, where the yogic ideas meet really practical, everyday exercises for, well, inner healing.
And that structure, that's really the key, I think. It lays out healing as this layered process. It was about 300 pages, published by Hay House back in 2021. And the promise is it offers these accessible, repeatable ways to focus on self-love and raise your vibration. But importantly, King defines vibration very actively. It's not just a feeling. It's about the energy you put out and take in, shaped by your choices, your boundaries, your daily actions.
Right, that structural piece feels crucial. It's like a journey laid out step by step. It seems to mirror that 7 bodies idea from yoga traditions. Not literally 7 bodies, obviously, but layers of self.
Yeah.
Moving from the physical outward, you start somewhere solid and build up. And it kicks off right in chapter 1, doesn't it? Asking that question, how many bodies? It sort of sets the stage using yoga philosophy, pointing to the sutras, giving us this map of where pain might be held, body, emotions, beliefs.
Exactly. And he's very down to earth about where to begin. You can't just jump into the subtle stuff. So chapter 2 is called Start with the Body You Know. Your physical body is the most direct way in. It's like the container for emotional stuff, physical tension, all of it. And the tools he offers right away are really actionable. Things like a personal history body scan, basically noticing where old stress shows up in your muscles. And pairing that with mindful movement, using those physical sensations, tightness, heat, whatever you call them, somatic cues, to sort of unlock and release stuck feelings. Building safety, really.
That totally makes sense. You need to feel safe in your own skin first, right, before digging deeper. But it's also good that the source material mentions healing isn't always neat. It can be messy. These tools are great, but maybe alongside other support if things are really complex. Okay, so once you've got that physical foundation, that safety, it feels like you can then explore the less tangible parts, which is where he goes next, I think, the energy layer. Chapter 3 asks, what's your vibe? Now, wait a second. This whole raising your vibration thing, it can sometimes feel a bit vague. How does King keep it grounded?
Yeah, that's a really important point. He grounds it completely in your social world, your environment. He ties self-love directly to raising your vibration. He makes it clear that supportive people in healthy places genuinely speed up healing. While, the opposite, difficult relationships, toxic settings, they can really slow you down. So the vibe concept becomes almost like a practical filter. You start asking, is this person, this situation, lifting my energy or draining it? The takeaway is pretty direct. Setting boundaries, choosing who you spend time with, these are high vibration actions. They're essential healing tools, not just nice to haves.
That really reframes things like boundary setting. It's not selfish. It's actually part of the healing process. Though we should probably add that nuance from the source material again. It warns against thinking low vibe equals bad outcome in a simplistic way. Sometimes feeling low is just human, especially if you're going through tough times. Context matters. Okay, so from the body to the external energy, we then move into the deeper history stuff. Chapters 4 and 5. Chapter 4 is Go Back in Time. That sounds like it's getting into the emotional layer, childhood stuff, old wounds.
That's right. If chapter 4 is about understanding where the wound came from historically, then chapter 5 is the very practical, okay, what do I do about it now chapter, the rewriting part. In chapter 4, King highlights something really critical for anyone doing this work. Learning to tell the difference between your intuition, that gut feeling, and a reaction that's purely driven by past trauma. That reactivity keeps us stuck. He uses a personal history list to help you see the patterns and then translate that insight into setting needed boundaries and doing what he calls reparenting moves. It's about looking honestly at those patterns, maybe passed down through generations, and realizing you need to become that kind, understanding adult for your own inner child.
And that naturally leads into chapter 5, Work with You in a New Way. Tell us more about those reparenting moves. What does that actually look like?
Reparenting is really the core method here. It's about identifying those limiting beliefs, often picked up in childhood, the I'm not good enough kind of thoughts, and then actively working to rewrite them. He suggests using things like guided meditation, cognitive exercises, and really importantly, curiosity to build and strengthen healthier ways of thinking, new neural pathways. The source material describes it as an immediately usable cognitive behavioral style reset. So actively noticing and challenging negative thoughts and consciously replacing them. It's designed to be accessible, giving you tools for self-correction right in the moment without needing a therapist right there every single time a limiting belief surfaces.
That feels like where the structure really comes together. You address the body, the energy, the past wounds, and then you start reshaping your actual identity through this reparenting. Who are you now beyond the wound?
Precisely. That brings us to chapter 6. Who are you? This is the reflective part, looking at the true self. It connects to the concept of Atman in yoga, that core, authentic self underneath all the layers of conditioning. And the practical insight here is, I think, quite powerful. King suggests using triggers, not seeing them as setbacks, but as valuable signals for growth. The aim is to start aligning your choices day by day with the person you'd be if never hurt. It's like an internal compass. You acknowledge the pain, learn from it, but then use it to navigate. It shifts your identity away from being defined by the pain towards being someone who carries the wisdom from it, integrating that strength.
That alignment sounds like a really significant shift, moving from being stuck in the past to being present with strength. So once you have that clearer sense of self, the next step seems logical. How do you maintain it? Build resilience. Chapter 7, when your fire burns, that inner fire metaphor comes back. And this chapter seems very practical. It's about operationalizing self-care, right? Making it concrete. Daily, weekly, monthly routines. He suggests specific techniques like candle gazing prataka to help you center yourself and shift out of difficult states. It's about designing rituals that work for you. The sources mention a case study, Jeanette, showing growth sometimes only appears months later, which really highlights the need for patience and sticking with the habits.
And all that consistent effort, that tending the inner fire, leads to the final chapter, chapter 8, you are free. Freedom here isn't about escaping life's challenges. It's defined more as returning to a state of balance, of wholeness. It's the culmination where body, emotions, beliefs are more integrated. And King gives practical ways to notice progress, which is helpful for anyone on this path. Success isn't about never getting triggered again. It's more about resetting faster when you were triggered and finding it easier to express emotions. Practices like float into it or walk in freedom use movement, nature, to really embody that feeling of freedom, making it physical, not just mental.
There's one more piece, though, that adds important context, the book's closing thoughts. They were written during the pandemic. That timing really adds something, doesn't it? It acknowledges that collective stress impacts individual healing. It validates why maybe old stuff came up for people during that time, and encourages a gentle approach to integrating those newer fears and losses, too. Patience again.
Yeah, that timeliness makes the whole thing feel very human. So if we synthesize the overall assessment for you, the listener, the book's biggest strength is probably that clear staircase structure, moving step by step from body to emotion, belief, identity, and finally to sustained freedom. It provides a memorable map, which can make starting self-work feel less overwhelming. And the way it blends those sort of ancient yogic concepts with very plain language, doable cognitive exercises makes it super approachable. But, and this is important for balance, the sources do stress that for really deep-seated pain, these tools are excellent for self-management, but often work best alongside professional support like therapy. It's about building a comprehensive toolkit.
So we've kind of walked through that shortcut, pulled out King's stepwise path. What emerges is this really thoughtful design, a ladder you can climb from feeling stuck towards feeling, well, freer.
And maybe a final thought for you to consider as we wrap up. In the acknowledgments, King mentions specific things like yoga nidra, energy medicine, concepts that inform his approach. It makes you wonder, what assumptions are we still making about healing if we keep separating these ancient structured frameworks like the 7 bodies from newer research-backed methods? What could a truly ultimate healing protocol look like if we really managed to bridge that gap fully, seeing them not as separate, but as complementary?
Definitely something to think about as you maybe start designing your own approach to healing. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.